Alright, so I have finally returned from my trip to Italy and a lot has happened over the course of this past month. With the qualifying rounds of the Champions League coming to an end, we now know which 36 teams will take part in this year's competition. From a club that plays near the Chinese border to a team that's based in the Arctic Circle, this season's competition sees teams from all corners of Europe battling it out for the ultimate prize. Today we're taking a look at all 36 teams in this season's edition of the Champions League as we rank each club based on the strength of their squad, the difficulty of the opponents they'll be facing, and their overall chances of succeeding in the competition. Every team in the Champions League is bound to put on a show, so let's go ahead and rank them all. We'll be going through this ranking by alphabetical order, meaning that the first 4 teams are Ajax, Arsenal, Atalanta, and Atletico. The Dutch Giants finished second in the Eredivisie last season, while also finishing 12th in the Europa League before being knocked out by Eintracht Frankfurt in the round of 16. Their biggest signing of the summer was Oscar Gluck from Salzburg, and even with the loss of Ural Hato leaving to go to Chelsea, they still have a solid squad on paper. Their toughest matches will be played at home against Inter, Benfica, and Galatasaray, and if they can manage to score some points against Chelsea, they could easily finish within the top 12. A Cinderella story for Ajax is certainly achievable this season, so I'll be putting them in the B tier for now. Moving on to Arsenal, the London-based side finished second in the Premier League last season, finished third in the league phase, and made it all the way to the semi-finals before losing to eventual winners PSG. With big-name signings like Noni Madueke, Victor Gyökeres, and Eberechi Eze, Arsenal has spent big money on strengthening an already solid squad. With 2 big games at home versus Atletico Madrid and Bayern Munich and a tough away day versus Inter Milan, Arsenal will have to fight for every point that comes their way. I'm still not convinced that this side has what it takes to win the Champions League, but with a bunch of momentum and a solid frontline, they'll go into the A tier today. Moving on to Atalanta, the Italian side finished third in the Serie A last season, while also finishing 9th in the league phase before getting bounced out by Club Brugge in the playoff round. The biggest unknown surrounding Atalanta's upcoming season is what they will do without their talisman Matteo Retegui, who was instrumental in their success last season. But with a relatively young squad and with talent all over the pitch, there is bound to be someone who will step up to fill his shoes. Apart from a grueling matchday 1 encounter versus reigning champions PSG in Paris and an enticing matchday 6 clash versus Chelsea at home, there is plenty of potential for Atalanta to pick up some serious points. Atalanta are always a wild card in European competitions, but with a young squad and a fair draw, they'll slot into the B tier today. And to finish off the first 4 teams, we have Atletico, who finished 4th in La Liga last season, while also finishing 2nd in the Europa League before losing to Manchester United in the semi-finals. The Spanish side had a summer filled with transfer rumors, but they were able to keep both Inaki and Nico Williams, which will be essential in their efforts this season. With 2 demanding home games versus both Arsenal and PSG, combined with 2 exciting away days at Dortmund and Atalanta, these 8 matches will be a great challenge for this squad. Athletic Club could go on to surprise us all this season, and with some exciting football on the way, they'll go into the B tier today. With the first 4 teams in the competition done and dusted, this is how the ranking looks like with 32 teams left to go. Moving on to the next 4 teams on this list, we have Atletico Madrid, Borussia Dortmund, Barcelona, and Bayern Munich. Atletico had a solid season in 2024-25, finishing 3rd in La Liga with 76 points, while also finishing 5th in the Champions League before their controversial loss to Real Madrid in the round of 16. While they may have lost Rodrigo de Paul in midfield, they have more than enough experience to cover that loss while giving their younger players a chance to prove themselves on the big stage. With an incredibly tough schedule ahead of them that includes Liverpool, Arsenal, and Galatasaray away from home, Atletico are in for one wild ride of a league phase campaign. I think Atletico will be looking to redeem themselves for what happened last season, so they'll go into the A tier today. The next team on the list is Borussia Dortmund, who finished 4th in the Bundesliga last season, while also finishing 10th in the league phase before losing to Barcelona in the quarterfinals. The German side may have lost some of their spark with Jamie Gittins' departure to Chelsea, but they'll be hoping that Joe Bellingham can replicate some of that in his debut season. With their 3 most challenging matches coming as away days versus Juventus, Manchester City, and Tottenham, they will have to grab as many points as they can in the relatively easy home matches. I would be very surprised if Dortmund can pull off a top 8 finish this season, and with all the roster changes they've made over the summer, they'll go into the B tier for now. Moving on to the reigning La Liga champions Barcelona, they finished 2nd in the league phase last season before losing to Inter Milan in the semi-finals in one of the craziest ties that we have seen in recent years. With Marcus Rashford joining what is already one of the best attacking lines in football, Barcelona will be scoring goals left, right, and center during their campaign. Apart from PSG on matchday 2 and Chelsea on matchday 5, they should go on and win the rest of their matches in convincing fashion. The ultimate redemption story would be for Barcelona to go on and win it all, and considering they are one of the favorites this season, they'll go into the S tier today. And to finish off the second second set of teams, the reigning Bundesliga champions Bayern Munich finished 12th in the Champions League last season before losing to Inter Milan in the quarterfinals. The German Giants had a very busy summer transfer window, acquiring both Jonathan Tah and Luis Diaz, while also losing Leroy Sané, Matthijs Tel, and Thomas Müller in the process. While their toughest tests come in the form of Chelsea at home, followed by PSG and Arsenal away, they should be the dominant side in the other 5 matches, coming away with maximum points. It does feel like it's championship or bust for Vincent Kompany in his second season, but with the quality and depth of this squad, they'll go into the S tier today. With 4 more teams crossed off the list, this is how the ranking is looking. It's starting to take shape, so let's see where the next set of teams find themselves. Continuing down the list in alphabetical order, we have Benfica, Bodo Glimt, Chelsea, and Club Brugge. The Portuguese Giants finished their league phase campaign in a heartbreaking second place last season, followed by a 16th place finish in the Champions League, which resulted in a loss to Barcelona in the round of 16. Benfica may have lost Angel Di Maria and Orkun Kukcu, but they have a very exciting team made up of young players who are waiting to burst onto the scene. Benfica have a very hard draw ahead of them, and apart from their opening match versus Qarabag, they will face a great challenge in the rest of their 7 matches. I'm not very confident in Benfica's ability to grab maximum points considering the teams that they'll be facing, so they'll go into the C tier today. Moving on to the Champions League debutants from the Arctic Circle, Norwegian champions Bodo Glimt finished 9th in the Europa League last season, with their Cinderella story coming to an end after a defeat to Tottenham in the semi-finals. With a squad value of roughly 55 million euros made up of mostly Norwegian nationals, it will be very interesting to see how they face off against some of the best players in the world. Considering how tough their first 8 matches in the competition will be, they will have to hope that their geographical advantage will be enough to sneak them into a playoff spot. It will be very interesting to follow this team over the course of the season, but given the teams that they'll be facing, they have to settle for the D tier today. Next up are the reigning Conference League winners Chelsea, who finished 4th in the Premier League last season after accumulating 69 points. With a summer transfer window full of spending that saw them acquire Liam Delap, Joao Pedro, and Jamie Gittins, Chelsea have taken an already great team and made it even better. Chelsea's performances versus Bayern Munich and Barcelona on match days 1 and 5 will be the defining moments of their campaign, while the other 6 matches should come with a sense of relative ease. This is Chelsea's chance to prove that they belong on Europe's biggest stage, and considering the talent they have and the road ahead of them, they go into the A tier today. And with Club Brugge rounding out the 3rd set of teams, the Belgian side finished as runners-up in the league last season, followed by a 24th place finish in the Champions League, which led to a loss to Aston Villa in the round 16. With a relatively young squad that has experience from last year's campaign, there is potential for the Belgian side to sneak into a playoff spot yet again this season. Club Brugge have a brutal back-to-back against Bayern Munich and Barcelona on match days 3 and 4, and with a grueling trip to Kazakhstan on match day 7, every game will be a true test for this side. Club Brugge may be able to grab a win here and there, but all things considered, the C tier is as high as this team can go today. These 4 teams are the latest to join the ranking, and as they slot into their respective tiers, we're ready to keep going. We're officially a third of the way through this ranking, with Copenhagen, Eintracht Frankfurt, Galatasaray, and Inter Milan making up the next 4 teams. The reigning Danish champions finished 18th in the Conference League last season before losing to Chelsea in the round 16. Their biggest addition in the offseason was Youssoufa Moukoko from Nice, who will fit in nicely alongside a squad filled with experience in all positions. Copenhagen's league phase draws a rollercoaster ride of really tough matches and some easier ones along the way, so it's very hard to tell where they will be able to maximize their points. I have a feeling that Copenhagen will just miss out on the playoff spots, and given how tough their draw is, they go into the D tier today. Moving on to yet another German side, Eintracht Frankfurt finished 3rd in the Bundesliga last season, as well as finishing 5th in the Europa League before losing to Tottenham in the quarterfinals. The biggest question surrounding this squad is who will fill Hugo Ekitike's boots, considering how important his offensive impact was last season. Frankfurt have one of the hardest schedules out of all 36 teams, facing 4 league winners in Galatasaray, Liverpool, Napoli, and Barcelona through their league phase campaign. It's going to be an uphill battle for the German side all season, so they have to settle for the C tier today. Next up are the Turkish champions Galatasaray, who finished 14th in the Europa League last season before losing to AZ Alkmaar in the playoff round. Galatasaray did some incredible business this summer by signing Leroy Sané and Wilfried Singo, while also signing Victor Osimhen on a permanent move from Napoli, so their squad is more than ready for Champions League action. The Turkish side will have to get as many points as possible in their first 6 matches, because their matchday 7 and 8 encounters versus Atletico Madrid and Manchester City might be too much for them to handle. With a new and improved roster and a relatively easy draw ahead of them, Galatasaray will go into the B tier today. Finishing off this set of teams is Inter Milan, who finished 2nd in the Serie A last season, as well as finishing 4th in the Champions League, with their campaign ending in a heartbreaking defeat to PSG in the final. The Italian side had a relatively quiet summer transfer window, and it seems like they're sticking to the older, more experienced squad, which almost led them to glory last year. The first half of Inter's league phase campaign is very straightforward, but with their final 4 fixtures coming against Atletico Madrid, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Dortmund, it will be a crazy road to the finish line. Inter Milan may not be able to replicate their success from last season, but they're strong enough to go into the A tier today. We've gone through yet yet another 4 Champions League teams, and with their respective rankings being confirmed, it's time to keep going down the list. Moving on to the 5th set of teams, we have Juventus, Kairat Almaty, Leverkusen, and Liverpool. The northern Italian side finished in 4th place in Serie A last season, while also finishing 20th in the Champions League before losing to PSV in the playoff round. With Jonathan David and Francisco Conceição joining the club on permanent deals, they have plenty of attacking options that they can rely on to win them games. Their toughest games will come on match days 1 and 3 against Dortmund and Real Madrid, but they should be the clear favorites in the other 6 matches they'll be playing in. Juventus have the chance to prove to the world that they are still the top dog in Italian football as they go into the B tier today. Moving on to this season's most intriguing team, Champions League debutants and Kazakh Premier League winners Kairat Almaty shocked the world when they beat Celtic in the final qualifying round. With a squad value of just under 13 million euros and a team that's never seen anything like this, it will be very interesting to see how they adapt to Europe's top competition. The distances that they'll have to travel can be both a blessing and a curse for this club, but their matchday 2 encounter versus Real Madrid at home will be talked about for years to come. As much as I would love to see this club succeed in the Champions League, the only logical place to put them is the F tier today. Bayer Leverkusen are up next, the side that finished 2nd in the Bundesliga last season as well as 6th in the Champions League before losing to Bayern Munich in the round 16. Leverkusen suffered a mass exodus in the summer transfer window, with players like Jonathan Tah, Jeremy Frimpong, and Florian Wirtz leaving for new clubs, as well as their iconic manager Xabi Alonso. Their toughest games will be against PSG at home and Manchester City away on match days 3 and 5, with their other 6 matches having the potential to go any which way. With a completely different team led by a new coach and too many variables along the way, Leverkusen have to settle for the C tier today. The reigning Premier League champions Liverpool round out this set of teams with their incredible first place finish in last season's Champions League coming to a disappointing end after a loss to PSG in the round of 16. A summer transfer window filled with squad rotation sees them bring in Jeremy Frimpong, Florian Wirtz, and Hugo Ekitike, while losing key players like Trent Alexander-Arnold, Luis Diaz, and Darwin Nunez. With their marquee matchups coming in the form of Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid at home on match days 1 and 4, Liverpool should have very few troubles in the other 6 matches that they'll be playing in. With an incredibly talented squad that could go all the way, Liverpool's S tier ranking is well and truly deserved. 4 more teams have discovered their fates, and with their rankings now being finalized, we're ready to keep the momentum going. The next set of teams comes in the form of Manchester City, Marseille, Monaco, and Napoli. Pep Guardiola's side finished in 3rd place in the Premier League last season, while also finishing 22nd in the league table, which led to them losing to Real Madrid in the playoff round. They've made quite a few changes to their squad, bringing in Ryan Ait-Nouri, Ryan Cherki, and Tijani Reinders, while losing Kevin De Bruyne and Jack Grealish in the process. With the KDB reunion on matchday 1 versus Napoli and a Leroy Sané reunion on matchday 8 versus Galatasaray, City are in for some truly enticing encounters in which they will be the favorites for almost all of them. Manchester City are looking to redeem themselves from their disastrous campaign from last season as this new look team goes into the S tier today. When it comes to French side Marseille, they finished 2nd in Ligue 1 last season with 65 points but failed to participate in any of the 3 major European competitions. With the new frontline consisting of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Igor Paixão, and Timothy Weah, there's a lot to look forward to if you like matches that are filled with goals. With a crazy away day versus Real Madrid on matchday 1 and an enticing home encounter versus Liverpool on matchday 7, it'll be very interesting to see where Marseille pick up points this season. The French side might just sneak into a playoff spot if they're lucky as they go into the C tier today. Moving on to another Ligue 1 side, Monaco finished their league campaign in 3rd place as well as finishing 17th in the Champions League before losing to Benfica in the playoff round. Monaco had a great summer transfer window, acquiring Paul Pogba, Ansu Fati, and Lukas Hradecky along the way. They have 4 challenging home matches against Manchester City, Tottenham, Galatasaray, and Juventus, and with an away game versus Real Madrid on matchday 7, it might just be too much for this side. An interesting team that is being forced to play some of Europe's best squads, Monaco have to settle for the C tier today. And to finish off this set of teams, the reigning Italian champions Napoli topped Serie A with 82 points last season, but failed to take part in any of UEFA's major club competitions. Napoli's biggest signing of the season is without a doubt Kevin De Bruyne, who will fit very nicely along Scott McTominay in the heart of midfield. Apart from Manchester City away on matchday 1 and Chelsea at home on matchday 8, Napoli have a very manageable schedule ahead of them with plenty of points up for grabs. With a squad that is thriving off of momentum and a relatively easy draw, Napoli find themselves in the B tier today. With 4 more teams in the rearview mirror and with 4 rankings being updated, let's keep making our way down the list. The next 4 teams on the chopping block are Newcastle United, Olympiacos, Pafos, and PSG. Newcastle United finished 5th in the Premier League last season with 66 points, but didn't take part in any of the 3 European football competitions. The major talking point of Newcastle's summer transfer window has been the nightmare transfer saga of Alexander Isak, and it's definitely put a strain on the team heading into the new season. Apart from their matchday 1 clash at home versus Barcelona and their matchday 8 away day versus PSG, the other 6 matches are all against even strength opponents, so it's up to them to prove their worth in Europe's top competition. competition. Only time will tell how far this side can go after a messy summer transfer window, so the C tier is as high as I'm willing to put them today. When it comes to Greek champions Olympiacos, they finished 7th in the Europa League last season, but ended up losing to Bodo Glimt in the round of 16. With a squad value of just over 100 million euros, it's hard to assess if their current team has what it takes to fight alongside the biggest and strongest clubs in Europe, given that their average age is around 27 years old. With the grueling schedule consisting of Arsenal, Barcelona, Kairat, Almaty and Ajax all away from home, plus an encounter with Real Madrid on matchday 5, things aren't looking too great for the Greek side. I have major doubts if this team can even scrape together enough points to get a playoff spot, as they settle for the D tier today. The next debutant team in this season's competition are the Cypriot champions Pafos FC, who finished 12th in the Conference League last season before being knocked out by Djurgården in the round of 16. With a squad value of just over 20 million euros and an average age of 28 years old, this team truly is the biggest anomaly in terms of what their players can do on the pitch. With a tough schedule that includes matches against Bayern Munich, Juventus and Chelsea in a matchday 3 during the Kazakhstan, Pafos could genuinely go pointless in this edition of the tournament. It would be great to see them pull off a once-in-a-lifetime miracle, but given the circumstances, they'll have to settle for the F tier today. Rounding out this set of teams is PSG, the reigning Liga and Champions League winners, who have all the momentum in the world right now. With a relatively quiet summer transfer window, PSG are planning on running it back with their championship-winning squad from last season, which is still world-class in all regards. Apart from Barcelona away on matchday 2 and Bayern Munich at home on matchday 4, they should be able to dominate the rest of their opponents. The reigning Champions League title holders look even stronger than they did last season, as they find themselves in the S tier today. That's 4 more teams in the history books, and with the updated rankings, we can almost see the light at the end of the tunnel. The next 4 teams on the list are PSV, Qarabag, Real Madrid, and Slavia Prague. The reigning Eredivisie champions finished 14th in the Champions League last season, but were dominated by Arsenal in the round of 16. Their summer transfer window consisted of them signing Dennis Mann and Paul Vanner, while losing Malik Tillman and Noah Lang and Luke de Jong in the process. The second half of their league phase campaign sees them facing Liverpool, Atletico Madrid, Newcastle, and Bayern Munich, so they will have to be on their A game in their first 4 matches if they want to accumulate any serious points. With the loss of some of last season's key players and a difficult draw ahead of them, PSV can only crack the C tier today. Moving on to the Azeri champions Qarabag, they had a great time in their domestic league but finished dead last in 36th place in the Europa League last season. With a squad value of around 25 million euros and an average age of 27, this will be a completely new experience for most of Qarabag's players. With a devastating second half of the season that sees them face Liverpool on the final match day, it will be extremely difficult for the side to gather enough points to land in a playoff spot. I truly hope they go on to prove me wrong, but the F tier is the only spot I can place a Qarabag in today. Next up are the 15-time champions Real Madrid, who finished 2nd in La Liga last season while also finishing 11th in the league phase before losing to Arsenal in the quarterfinals. Los Blancos have strengthened their already elite squad by signing Dean Howson, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Franco Mastantuono, but they also lost club legends like Luka Modric and Lucas Vazquez in the same time frame. With their 3 marquee matchups coming against Manchester City, Juventus and Liverpool, as well as a crazy away day to Almaty on matchday 2, Real Madrid are one of the heavy favorites to go on and win the entire competition. This might finally be the year that Kylian Mbappe gets his hands on a Champions League trophy, as Real Madrid go into the S tier today. And finally, when it comes to Czech champions Slavia Prague, they had a great run in their domestic league but finished in 30th place in the Europa League last season with just 1 win. With a squad value of around 105 million euros and with an average age of around 26 years old, there is a lot of potential for some newcomers to make their mark on Europe's biggest stage. But with some tough matches at home against Arsenal and Barcelona, as well as facing Inter and Tottenham on the road, there won't be very many opportunities for the Czech side to grab those pivotal 3 points. Slavia Prague could go on to surprise us all, but until they do, they'll have to settle for the D tier today. That's another 4 teams who have just received their placements, and with these new and improved rankings, we have just 4 more teams left to go. To finish off this ranking, the final 4 teams are Sporting CP, Spurs, Union Saint-Gilloise, and Villarreal. The reigning Portuguese champions finished 23rd in the league phase last season before losing to Borussia Dortmund in the playoff round. The biggest change in their squad this season is the absence of Victor Gyökeres after his move to Arsenal, and it doesn't seem like they have a replacement lined up for him just yet. And considering that they'll be facing Napoli, Juventus, and Bayern Munich away from home, plus a matchday 7 encounter with PSG at home, things aren't looking too smooth for this side. Without their star striker and plenty of hurdles along the way, Sporting will have to settle for the C tier today. Moving on to the reigning Europa League champions Tottenham Hotspur, it's difficult to compare last season to this season, especially considering the fact that they finished in 17th place in the Premier League. They had a very busy summer transfer window, bringing in Matisse Tell, Mohamed Kudus, and Javi Simons, but they did lose club legend Heung-min Son after he went to join LAFC in the MLS. Apart from Borussia Dortmund at home and PSG on the road, the draw was very fair to the English side, and they should be able to secure a spot in the playoff round with relative ease. There's some fresh faces in London and plenty of momentum for this side, so I'm putting Spurs in the B tier for now. Moving on to the fourth and final debutant this season, the reigning Belgian champions Union Saint-Gilloise finished 21st in the Europa League last season before losing to Ajax in the playoff round. With an estimated squad value of 86 million euros and an average age of 25, this is the perfect opportunity for this team to put Belgian football on the map. But with 4 crucial away days at Bayern Munich, Atletico Madrid, PSV and Galatasaray, combined with Inter Milan and Atalanta at home, and the debutants have a huge mountain to climb if they want to secure a playoff spot. I think this team has what it takes to pull off at least one miracle win, but given the strength of their opponents, they'll have to settle for the D tier today. And last but not least, we have Villarreal, who finished 5th in La Liga last season with 70 points, but did not play any European football either. They went on to complete the permanent deal for Tejan Buchanan, but they did lose their talisman Alex Baena to domestic rivals Atletico Madrid, so they will have to shift some things around within the squad moving forward. Their toughest stretch will be match days 2 and 3 when they host Juventus, followed by Manchester City, but the other 6 matches have genuine potential for a solid points haul. Villarreal could be a potential dark horse in the league phase campaign, so they'll go into the C tier today. With the last 4 teams being added to the ranking, this is how all 36 teams in the 2025-26 Champions League competition line up, with the first matches kicking off in just a few weeks' time. It's going to be an exhilarating season of non-stop action, and these next 8 match days can't come soon enough. But what did you think of my 2025-26 Champions League rankings? Are there any that are too high, too low, or should be switched out entirely? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more football content, tier lists, and everything in between, and as always, I'll catch you next time.